I'm Bree Goldwater, owner and chief waxer at Human Landscapers. And today I'm going to do basically like a lip wax, probably just a little bit of the inside edges of the nostrils, on the jawline, sides of the face, kind of the sideburn area. Overall, just a face wax in kind of the areas that needs to be, and then blend it so that it all just looks very, very natural. And usually I just put a little bit of the, just a little bit of witch hazel ahead of time to just kind of make sure and get all the oils off the skin. I am using my wax, box wax. It is a hard wax. It's super gentle, yet incredibly strong and effective. Okay, good. It kind of will feel good, like it just gets the top dead layer of skin, so it gives a nice little exfoliation. I always call it like a little 2-for-1, because not only are we taking the hair, but then we're also getting all the dead skin, like you got a little microdermabrasion. And I always go over the lip line some, because that's where those little tiny ones are hiding. And always past the lip. I call it the Fu Manchu, and it's just those little dark ones hide out there all the way down at the bottom. So I usually go past the lip a bit.
And is this something that you just kind of developed yourself with that technique?
Yeah, so I don't know if you see how I just kind of, I call it a ratchet.
Okay.
And what I do, you know, is I kind of can just, the hairs are fairly short and they're kind of few and far between a little bit. And so I'm just going on the cautious, and usually, and I've gone over the area now multiple times. And so what I do is I just kind of go at it at this angle, and you see how I'm kind of like pulling one by one, little by little, all the teeny tiny hairs, and it protects the skin. It's a technique that I use on so many different areas, and it's like a safety technique. And I don't know, I developed it. I don't even know how I came up with it, but for some reason it just seemed to work, and it makes a ton of sense that it's what it's actually doing is because I'm pulling it slowly like that, I'm basically allowing the skin to let go, so that if I were to just take one quick swipe, it may have the skin underneath it and then take it with it. And then it'll have like a little lift in the skin. So in order to avoid that possibility, I do that little ratchet, and not only does it seem to grab almost each individual hair, but then it also releases the skin and just ensures that it's safer.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense?
Yeah, and I can see it too when you do it as well. But yeah, that makes sense. You do that with the Brazilian, right?
So I never do it like on the first pass.
Yeah.
On a Brazilian. And I'm honestly only doing it right here because I actually, if there was a lot of hair, like thicker, then the hair would be the barrier between the wax and the skin.
I see.
There's no barrier really, because there's not a lot of density of hair.
Yeah.
So this way it just ensures it's a little bit safer when I pull it off.
Okay.
There's more skin for the wax to grab.
Yeah.
So it can be a little more dangerous, I guess.
Got it.
So I always try to teach like my, you know, our newer, less experienced waxers, you know, to really use this technique, because what happens is they, I have a lot more experience, so I know these things happen. When you're newer, you feel like, oh, I put the wax on, I just pull it off. Isn't that what I do? You know, it seems like that makes sense. Yeah. But then there's that other factor that, you know, you just never know. If the skin is dry, if they were up skiing recently, they're really dehydrated, you know, that kind of thing can make it a lot worse.
Yeah, and you have to take in count into, like, you know, people's skin type, hair type too.
Yes, exactly, yes.
All right, and now we're doing
now I'm going into the chin.
Okay.
And same, because there's not like a lot of a barrier, I'm just gonna do that little ratchet again. If it were dense hair, it would hurt a lot more, which is why I couldn't do that on a Brazilian.
Got it.
Because there's just, it would pull at it and it'd be like, pull it already. It'd be so painful, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you tell me, like, you know, because obviously some people just rather like pluck the hairs off their face. Like, what are the benefits of waxing, like, the face?
So,
because can you get ingrowns or?
No, not usually here. It's not very often. It can happen, I'm sure, but it's not super common.
Yeah.
But as far, well, tweezing versus waxing.
Yeah.
Is that what you kind of mean?
Yeah, because some people do, like like some people do tweeze the hairs off their chin.
Which is fine. Totally fine.
Yeah, but
honestly,
what are just like, why is waxing another alternative that if someone wants to try?
I get
tweezing, you know
well,
what I mean?
Yes,
yeah.
And if to be honest with you, like those that have like some dark chin hairs because of hormones and age and all that, I literally most of the time just like, you're gonna have to just tweeze those. Like you're gonna want to. You're not gonna want to let it grow long enough to get it waxed.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I'll just recommend that people do that.
Yeah.
However, definitely I have plenty of people that come in and do their chin because it's not as dark and thick or whatever. And so you know, tweezing is the same as waxing if you're literally pulling it from the root.
Yeah.
Not everybody is skilled in doing that.
But this will get like all like the fuzz, I guess, like the face.
It does get a lot. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you can't get fuzz with the tweezers.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. It would take you forever. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of follicles. I mean, it'd just be impossible.
Yeah, you don't want that like one long chin hair.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. When I'm doing a brow and lip, I'm always checking those areas. Always. You have to keep an eye, like help people out. And they can't see it. Or a lot of times they hide right on the underneath part and they couldn't even tell that it was there.
Yeah.
So, for hers, I just want to blend. I want it all to look natural. So I need to go right into this area where I could see that, I have to, it's kind of just making the whole picture look natural. So there's no like exact that everybody needs their chin, everybody needs their, their this or that. Like it really just depends on the person and their hair growth. And it's about making it look right. And the great thing too is if you don't, if you never did this again, it won't matter. Like it'll grow out exactly the same as what you have had before. So that's a nice thing for people to can test out their, their face and then never do it again.
But then if she did want to keep doing it, the hair would grow back less, right?
It'll grow back thinner and less.
Thinner,
And usually after the first time, typically hair goes in 30% less after the first time.
Okay.
However, all areas are kind of different. Like Brazilian is probably the most effective, and then definitely underarms, really good. And so it just depends what the area is.
Explain what you're doing right now.
Yes. So I just put a little barrier oil in the nose just to protect the skin first because it's thin.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to get the edges, the inside edges of the nose is all.
Okay.
Just because certain nostril shapes, like, you know, can turn up a little bit and you can see right in there. And certain ethnicities, like we have hair that's darker.
Yeah. And why do, because in my past experiences when I've gotten waxed, they've done it where they stick the whole thing up the nose.
Right.
You're the only person or waxer that's ever done it this technique.
Okay.
Did you learn that somewhere, or did you kind of just start doing that yourself?
Well, what kind of happened was, honestly, I just knew that, you know, I really was more worried about what you can see, right?
Yeah.
And then I had a client who's an ENT doctor, ear, nose, and throat doctor, and had shared with me that, hey, you know, we probably should have, like, you know, it's important just to keep a filter and for safety. And because, you know, I think it was like going to the mountains or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. So after that, I just started on everybody like, oh, let's just get the front edges, leave that back, you know, except for my clients who are, I have a client who's like 6'8", and he's like, please get every last bit.
So you stick it all the way up in there?
Yeah, because every single person can see what's in there, you know? So yeah, I just do the front edges, whatever you can kind of see. And then, and these are just like, so I'm just kind of like moving around and getting, like, this is just kind of the cleanup stuff. I'm getting the last little bits that maybe didn't get grabbed with the first round. And I always do like one on the outer, one on the inner, and then the same on the opposite. And there's a whole process with the right texture of the wax has to be, there's like this entire kind of, like a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And now this is the top of the nose. Everybody has, like most people have blackheads. There's little dark hairs. I have been waxing the top of my nose since I was 11 years old.
Does this help with blackheads?
Yes, it's awesome. Oh my God, it feels so good, and it gets all the dead skin. And so, yeah, so I always do this on everybody. It's fantastic.